All right.
Sick nasty. We're back to our origin point.
Yeah. Fucking. When did Honeypop 1 come out? What was it, 2015 or 2016?
I believe it was 2015, but I'll double check right now.
Yeah.
It was the same year that Undertale came out.
Yeah. Honeypop proved to be the vastly superior game. January 19th, 2015.
I know it's the same year because I did a game of the year for each year chart, and I put Honeypop in over Undertale and said it's the superior game with a heart in its logo. This is something that we've been waiting for quite a while.
Yes, probably way longer than like any normal human ever should.
But there was a weird amount of like tease for Honeypop 2 compared to when it eventually came out.
It really was the Kingdom Hearts 3 of video games when you think about it.
The first trailer, the first announcement, the first whiff of a Honeypop 2 we got was in 2017. So that is a like 3 or 4 year development cycle. Granted, it was sharing a bit of time with their other game, The Spiral Scouts, as well as Honeycam Studio, but I don't think Honeycam Studio took all that long.
Yeah, no, Honeycam came out like not too long after Honeypop 1, so I don't think it had basically anything to do with Honeypop 2's like slow development.
It took a while to come out. We were drip fed information. There was a lot of people like somehow Honeypop of all games managed to get a Smash Bros-esque speculation.
Yeah.
Honeypop 1 had 4 secret girls, in which 3 of them were actually secret, and 1 of them was Q. When the roster was shown to us, like there were quite a few people saying, okay, but like Audrey's really popular. We're gonna see her, right? But the peak of this, in my eyes, was when people looked at the file icon select screen.
Yeah.
And how there was empty spaces, and they were like, there's 4 extra slots here. 4 extra characters.
Yeah. Literal Super Smash Brothers like roster prediction level shit for this like Bejeweled clone with titties.
It's unclear what made it take this long. Because like it's still like when I played the game, it was still Honeypop.
Yeah.
We weren't going on like there was no like adventure mode or something like that. It was still a puzzle game. So I don't know where all that development time was going.
I don't either. And like if you compare it to like the trailers that were coming out, years at this point before the game came out, it doesn't look that different, really.
Yeah. One thing you can notice if you look at some of the voice actor demo reels, which I think are no longer on the channel, there were some changes in voice acting. Like I know Ashley's voice is different between then and now. And looking at the credits, the voice direction was done by Audrey's voice actress. So we can confirm she has not abandoned this franchise.
Yeah, that was like an unironic fear that we had, was the idea that her voice actress Brittany Lauda had like disavowed Honeypop or something, and that's why she wasn't Audrey again.
Yeah, that would heartbreak us, because Audrey is a character that gives us a lot of joy in life. And speaking of characters that give us a lot of joy in life, the Honeypop 2 roster is built up of 2 returning characters from Honeypop, not counting Q. 7 returning characters from Honeycam Studio. That means that there are 3 or 4 characters from Honeycam Studio that were not adapted into Honeypop characters.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be seeing those in Honeypop 3.
Oh, hey, hang on. That might be something we get in 2030, maybe.
Yeah. There is 1 character that is the artist's original character that they do for like their own OC universe, that being Ashley. And then there are, I believe, 2 or 3 or 4 entirely new characters. I know that Polly's new, and
I think Abia is new, right?
Yeah, Abia is also new. I'm gonna go back into the data mine.
Yeah.
By the way,
you were unironically data mining this game like right when it came out.
When Honeypop 2 came out, it was a work day for me. So the minute it came out, I knew I'm not gonna be able to play this immediately. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, data mine the resources, and then that way I can just prepare myself mentally for this.
Yeah.
And there's the moment where I saw the secret costumes. I was like, there she is! And then like it said in, where's her portrait on the character select screen? Oh no.
Nowhere.
Seeing the Honeypop 2's final roster is a big like point of contention for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Granted, like if you go back to Honeypop 1, like the characters are not really all that fleshed out. A lot of it comes down to stuff that was not even in Honeypop, being stuff like the character bios and the Kickstarter pitch. What they said in those 4chan Vokaroos and just general headcanons, inflating a lot of those characters to like legendary status.
Yeah, Audrey, that living legend.
That said, the fact that Lola returned, despite her being the least popular girl, something a lot of people have an issue with.
Yeah, it like from the two returning girls that we have, like Lola and Jessie, I think those are two of the most mid choices possible. Like obviously, I guess Jessie has the appeal of like, yeah, MILF porn star, whatever, and Lola's like, okay. But that's part of the issue is that it's like, why'd you pick the most okay ones? If you're gonna fuck with us, at least put in like Momo again, right?
Lola actually ranks lower than Momo in the official Honeypop popularity poll.
That almost makes me wonder how much of it is just like she's put in there out of almost a sense of spite.
We know that one, Lola was the hardest girl for the developer to write for, and two, she is his favorite girl for reasons that we don't fully understand. Based on her description in the Kickstarter and how it says absolutely nothing about what her story would be like, I think it's because she has the least lore attached to her, and he has a disdain for lore. That said, there is actually really neat bit of character development between Honeypop 1 and Honeypop 2 that's entirely told through gameplay. In Honeypop 1, Jessie's preference was sexuality, whereas in Honeypop 2, where she's more washed up and depressed, she desires romance.
Yeah.
Well, what girls wound up jumping out to you?
I'd say my favorites, I really liked Abia. I liked Ashley a lot. Zoe was okay. Lailani was pretty good. I'd say those are like my favorite three is Lailani, Ashley, and Abia. And the rest are like, they're okay.
Sarah is another like deliberately annoying character, like what I felt Momo was. But this one's much more deliberate. I liked Polly because I think that the accent was cute. I also liked Ashley. Yeah, she had the most like casual vibe that I liked from Honeypop 1. Yeah,
she's like the coolest one. Like I feel like with all the rest of them, they exude this I don't know how to put it, like sexual energy that doesn't match Ashley's. Ashley is so beyond it. She's just like, yeah, dude, I've seen your dick. It's pretty cool. So she's the one that you're kind of the most bro with already. So I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that Honeypop's characters excel best when they are your sex homies. Like Q, Aiko, and Ashley fall into that category the most. Candace was kind of really stupid, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, she was funny.
When I looked at Lillian, all I could see was Diet Audrey.
Yeah, she is kind of similar. Like, they have the same kind of, like, cunty energy going on, but Audrey pulled it off so much better. I think it's because Audrey is just so much more ridiculous.
Audrey is over-the-top ridiculous, and she owns it so much, whereas Lillian seems like she is trying too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, Audrey's more confident in her cuntiness. Lillian is more kind of insecure about it.
And here's the big thing that like made me stop playing Honeypop 2, really.
Mm-hmm.
There were no secret girls.
Yeah, that's definitely a letdown. Because, like, throughout the entire game, I was expecting, alright, there's gotta be, like, at least one secret girl. And obviously the Nymphogen don't really count, because they're, like, the last boss. But...
They're the last boss. You don't get to date them. You only get to fuck them at the end. And they just become a randomizer for their boss fight. When I was completing Honeypop 2 in a Discord call with a couple of friends, and all we could comment on during that boss fight was the music sounding like fucking Dark Souls.
Yeah.
That track is just very inherently funny for the type of game that Honeypop 2 is.
Yeah.
Highlight of the game for me is everything having to do with Q.
Q is really good in this game.
The ending scene with her is a very perfect Q moment.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's weird that you can't do anything with her. You just come and see her at the end of the day. You decide to go back to the hotel room to like change an outfit, which doesn't even matter until the post game. And there were costumes shown for Q, and I looked in the data mine, there was stuff for her there too. I don't know what's up with Q.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that Q was intended to be more of like a normal girl that you can date or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe because of the double date thing, she just didn't work out or something. But it definitely feels like Q is like meant to be something more than she is.
I think the double date mechanic is what like stopped Q and made her... I felt sorry for Q a lot of the time. Because she just has to leave and like jerk off, leave and masturbate to this. She can't have any of the fun for herself. That's disappointing.
Yeah, she's just stuck in the hotel room the whole time.
If there were to be a double date with Q, she would kind of have to just... The other girl could not get jealous because Q is an invisible non-person.
Yeah.
Q still ends up being the standout girl for me in the end.
Yeah, like, it sucks that there's no Audrey, but at least fucking Q is there, right?
Yeah. Q is the only girl that you have like any intimate moment with. Intimate being like a one-on-one moment, just you two.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an issue going in that I had with Honeypop 2, and that's that I never felt like I was getting too much from talking to the girls.
Yeah, talking, is kind of pointless in a way. Like, in Honeypop 1, that was a huge part of the game, was, like, talking to them, learning shit about them, and then they would, like, quiz you on that stuff, so you had to actually remember.
Mm-hmm.
But actually learning about them as people is, like, almost counterproductive sometimes.
Yeah, so the system in Honeypop 2 is each girl has 3 pieces of baggage on them. And these are just modifiers that change how the dates work. You might have one like Avia, who has sex addict. When you match sexuality tokens, they automatically go to her. And this is like just an overall benefit most of the time. And then you have, on the opposite end of things, Jessie's lung cancer, which makes it so that way she doesn't restore stamina when she is inactive. And it makes it so that way there is a good RNG chance that you just lose based off of stamina. Because she keeps on coughing, and you need to take her to a hospital, but you're on a date. So there are some baggages that like actually feel like fun little modifiers, and then there's stuff that just like screws you over without you being able
there's some that like in some ways are actually kind of helpful. I think it's Zoe, I think, has the one where she'll just at random clear a line of stuff, and like sometimes that's useful, right?
Yeah.
But then there's ones like, I think Nora has the one where if you look away from her, you lose a percentage of your
5%.
Your total meter. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is bad. Like, that one, you see they have that during their date, and you're just like, oh, well, never mind then.
I can't imagine playing on, like the incel difficulty, because having to deal with those when you go to the alpha mode dates and like the requirement for success becomes way higher.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds not fun.
Yeah, this game is already like hard enough as it is.
The stamina mechanic is aggressive at times because you're penalized for making those big combos. Like, you are penalized for getting like ones that drop into each other. But like when I see a moment where I had a moment once where I saw like if I move this one token, I match 5, and there's also a 3 that's being matched. This is the best. I have made the biggest combo ever. And she just has a heart attack on the spot.
She died.
She died. She had a heart attack because of one of her baggages. She destroyed the items that I had.
Oh, good.
I just had to look at that as like, well, I'm sorry for playing the game, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the mechanics in it is like, I can see it being kind of mechanically interesting, but I feel like in general, HuniePop 1 was just more kind of like fun. This game requires a lot more like micromanagement and effort exerted on your part to not fuck up.
Yeah, it leads to some like more technically in-depth puzzles, but it doesn't lead to them necessarily being better at times. The other issue I had with talking was in HuniePop 1, you talk to a girl and you got a proportionate amount of like your experience equivalent and money from it.
Yeah.
And here you don't have that kind of progression from talking to the girls because you get like one fruit, and that one fruit is not enough to do pretty much anything. You're better off just doing dates nonstop. And if you want to get at most unlocking their baggages so that way you can get to the higher tier of items.
Yeah, like, I do find that to be like an interesting kind of idea, is like, okay, unlock an item, but this really shitty thing comes with like getting to unlock that item. Like, I think that's an interesting idea, but it also makes it just kind of like less fun. It feels like I've only made that slight bit of progress by being able to use the item. Whereas the baggage that I got in turn was like bad.
I know a lot of people just avoid talking to Nora entirely until the end game.
Yeah.
Because all of her baggages are the worst. She has abandonment issues, like she's vindictive, and those are just bad. I also didn't want to talk to Lola because all of hers affect the stamina mechanic, which I hate. And the fact that there are some like obvious sex addict or Zoe's like one that clears a row. In my eyes, it kind of fits Zoe because like she's trying to help you accomplish your goals. It's really weird in the baggage system. I'm not entirely big on I'm fine with the concept. I don't like the implementation most of the time.
I think if there was like a counterbalance to it, it would have worked out better. Like sometimes if you talk to her, instead of getting baggage, you get like a boon or something, like a positive thing about this girl. Like fucking for Abia, every sexuality thing you get is an extra 10% like on top of that or whatever.
Yeah.
And that way you start with like a random positive and a random negative. It would have worked out a little bit better. Yeah. But it's only the negative. So it feels like a lot of the time, every time I talk to one of these girls, I like them a little bit less. Because now I've learned some really shitty thing about them.
The only thing you learn about these girls are terrible things, because talking to them beyond learning their baggages is kind of pointless.
You get like random trivia from it. But the thing that doesn't make sense is that the random trivia was like, had a function in HuniePop 1.
Yeah. You get random trivia from it, and at least in HuniePop 1, like, you felt like you were making progression from talking to them. And you gave the girls, like, special gifts unique to them because you were really invested in this girl in particular. How'd you feel about the overall dialogue?
It was good. I enjoyed it. Like, looking back at Honeycam Studio, I think the problem with that game is that, like, it was just lacking that HuniePop dialogue. Like, at least for me, that's what made me enjoy HuniePop 1 so much, was just how crass and, like, weird it was compared to, like, almost anything else that existed. Like, Audrey would say, fucking whore-ass bitch, and it was just, like, a really funny game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad HuniePop 2 manages to like kind of capture that again.
It
But I feel like it almost goes too hard in on that because like most of the characters, it feels like they're a lot more just kind of like sexual or crass or whatever. Whereas in HuniePop 1, there was more of a kind of a balance where there were the more like wholesome girls that didn't really do that very much. Like, you know, Tiffany or Nikki or whoever. It felt like about half the cast was like more kind of normal. Whereas in this game, there's like a few innocent girls and the rest of them are like nuts.
You have Lilani, and she's your balance. You have Zoe because she's just sort of weird, and you have Polly because she wants to be a housewife.
Yeah.
I think that's roughly the same amount, but the rest are just so overwhelming in the opposite direction.
Yeah, like at least in HuniePop 1, they some of the characters would get a little more crass as you kind of get to know them,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt more kind of natural in a way. Like throughout the course of knowing them, they start to open up a little bit more and become a little more sexual with you. Whereas in HuniePop 2, it feels like right out of the gate, they're just talking about like pussy and dicks and how many times Candy got pregnant and stuff.
What fucked me up about with Candy was like my introduction to her was when she's getting crack from Nora.
Yeah.
Like crack was like a bad ending for Audrey in Honeycamp Studio, and here she's just like casually doing it. She's unable to comprehend the idea of having fun without that crack.
Yeah. It's really sad.
That scene, well, funny, went a bit too hard. There's a lot less restraint here.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a good way to put it, is that like HuniePop kind of succeeded based on its really crass dialogue. And you would think that logically the good idea of going forward is like, well, just put in a lot more of that. But having it just be like omnipresent like that makes it less special, I feel. Then you don't get like, whenever you see Audrey going, you fucking whore-ass bitch. In HuniePop 1, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. Whereas in HuniePop 2, that just feels normal.
It doesn't help that because of that, none of the lines stick out to me. Actually, wait, one exchange sticks out to me, and it's not like a vulgar one. So there's Q's dialogue that stuck out to me, and then there's the threesome dialogue between Lily and Abia, where Lillian's like, my parents would literally kill me if they heard I had a threesome with a guy I just met. And then Abia's like, literally. That was a really great bit of black humor.
Yeah. The game is funny, I'll give it that. It definitely got a lot of genuine laughter out of me.
But I'm not going to like be thinking about there's no scene like Audrey's introduction or telling Aiko fuck these birds or Q saying thanks for the sex homie that just lives rent free in my head 5-6 years later. It never reaches those heights. I think because they go too far in, then nothing sticks out. Like he can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. And I feel like HuniePop was definitely a lightning in a bottle kind of situation. Q's ending though is absolutely perfect, like 10 out of 10 stuff.
Yeah, that ending was really good. I thought that was real. I was a fucking sucker. I was like, oh, she loves me.
I knew that something was up because Q is not someone who would like go for a declaration of love. I know that some people did and some people still do. And and some people were like disappointed with that. I just tell them, like, you know, Nagatoro, maybe it's like that. You keep trucking, you crazy person. Why did he go for an Ancient Evil Awakens plotline for HuniePop 2?
I don't know. I think that's funny.
It is.
I'm perfectly happy with the Halo, like, an Ancient Evil Awakens for this fucking game. It's really dumb.
When Q flies up with... How is your date happening in space? Do you like have a field around you?
I guess.
HuniePop 2 protagonists can like exist outside of Earth's atmosphere? Like Super Saiyan God Goku fighting Beerus?
They're very similar events, really.
When Q says that she can't help me, I was like, wait, she was going to?
What were you gonna do?
That's a brief realization, though, when I was in the final boss and they said mind control and just the regular girls I was already dating floated in.
Yeah.
That was kind of underwhelming. At least like they just started saying like, you cannot beat us. We are Nintendo. Or whatever the fuck it is that they were saying. I don't know if HuniePop 3 can exist.
You think they've kind of reached the highest point they can get? Do you think like anything beyond this would just be like too much?
Anything beyond this would either be like, one, it would definitely be too much. Like, where the fuck do you go after you fucking space? You've already like gone to like the goddess of love and you fucked her. You already went to like space and you fucked Beerus. Like, what can they do?
All right, here's my plot. HuniePop 3, the Tournament of Power. All the greatest Chads from the multiverse gather.
HuniePop 3 takes place in Q's homeworld. Like, we got a bit more lore about that in HuniePop 2, in that they are all big fucking weebs. What if you are just like doing it in like actual babe heaven? Like fucking attempt to restore Q's license after she lost it in HuniePop 2.
Only through fucking all of us will we restore Q's license.
Because I want to help her.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Q has spent so much time helping you, now it's your time to help her.
Q helped save your universe. I'm hoping that the game gets more Q content and updates. I hope the game gets more content. Because once I beat the game, I kind of got my fill. I don't want to do the alpha mode dates as is.
I don't either. Like, I saw you have all the different outfits to unlock, and I was like, all right, time to get all the outfits. And then I very quickly realized I don't actually want to do that.
Honestly, I just used fucking cheat engine and just like, all right, I unlocked the HuniePop 1 outfits. I'm good. But with the way the baggage system works, I would not enjoy the escalation that you get in alpha mode.
Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna reach this kind of peak where it's like, I just can't do this. Like, the luck is just not in my favor anymore. Especially
with all the baggages that have a percentage base penalty that you have. Because I feel like even 1% in like the like later rounds would be a nightmare. Having to lose 5% for changing who I was focusing on sounds incredibly unpleasant. I might, if they do like a big update for the game, I might replay the game on like the hardest difficulty. But I would not have very little interest in the post game.
Yeah, like that, I think that's part of the issue is that like, assuming tomorrow we get announced Audrey DLC, it's like, the structure of the game being based on double dates doesn't just mean that now you have Audrey. That means that he has to retroactively add, like, Audrey date with fucking, I don't know, Candy and Jesse and Lillian or whoever else. So it's more of a project than just like, yeah, Audrey's here now.
Yeah. But it could, like, you could just add Audrey in, like, the bonus modes of the game. Like, there's a chance for the HuniePop 1 girls to appear when you're doing the endless date mode.
I still find the lack of Audrey to be really interesting, because, like, we've spent this whole video saying how HuniePop 2 kind of leans on HuniePop 1 really hard, and yet there's no Audrey.
There's the Audrey costume for Lillian, and I don't know if that's a fuck you for liking her, or a genuine attempt to, like, satisfy, because I can't get a good reading on this guy.
I feel like it's more of an attempt to be like, yeah, here's some Audrey for the Audrey fans, because like, I think if you wanted to be spiteful, he would have been spiteful about it, right?
Yeah, he would have like outright said, he would look at Audrey's aunt and be like, yo, she's a Belrose. Shame about that girl you knew.
Didn't we know a Belrose?
Oh yeah, that bitch who died of a crack addiction.
That'd be so horrible.
And then we were just like, excuse me? When I found out that Brooke owned the resort, though, it just made me even more like confused at Audrey's lack of presence.
Yeah, like that's something that I was thinking about earlier. Is that like trying to justify why certain characters are or aren't here doesn't make sense with the setting, because it's like, it's a resort. You can fucking have any reason for any of these girls to come back. Fucking, I don't know, Nikki's on like a school trip, and Belly is there to teach yoga to everybody. Like, you can come up with any reason. So there's no reason for Audrey to not be there, especially since her mom owns the place.
Yeah, and it would just like that'd be something going on. But I can see that like Honeypop definitely has like an aversion to like writing actual genuine character interactions. Like, that's just what I've grown to assume at this point. I think the idea of having to write Tiffany interacting with Jesse, he has zero interest in doing that.
Man, well, Jesse and Lola. I'm just looking at the Honeypop 1 roster, and it's like, those two?
Like, even, like, it could also just be, like, his general, like, preference for, like, there was definitely a more focus on, like, older women in Honeypop 2.
Yeah, this game does have some MILFs.
But, like, why not Aiko? Because Aiko would fit the vibe very well.
She would, yeah. And like I said, the setting makes it like, yeah, she's on a school trip or whatever. She's the chaperone or whatever. She's just on vacation. It's a vacation destination. Yeah.
She finally won big at the casino, and she immediately blew it all here. Did you have a problem with like some of the CGs, like just using a hairstyle or outfit that you were not digging?
I did notice it. It's not the kind of thing that like bothered me. I just kind of put it in my head like, all right, he just wanted to draw the one CG or whatever, or whoever does the art for it.
Yeah.
They just wanted to do the one and like slap it in there.
Mm-hmm. Like when I got to an H scene and I saw like Lillian's like half shaven hairstyle, I was like, all right.
Okay.
You know, the funniest CG in the game though is Brooke and Polly.
Yeah. Oh man, we should talk about Polly's dick.
Yeah.
I remember that being a big point of contention back in 1995 when she was first revealed.
Yeah. So they made a big deal that like Polly was like transgender, and like everyone was like, do you know what that means? Like, no. I when I said penis, I meant the hot kind. And like ultimately that resulted in them putting it in an option, like a toggle, poly dick on off. And when the game came out, there did not seem to be any difference on launch of whether or not your poly had a dick. There was one CG that changed, and it was the funniest shit in the game. You
sent me the comparison between the two, and I genuinely started playing like Spot the Difference for a minute before you just told me what was different.
They put a box that said strap on XXX large, because I doubt they wanted to like redraw each CG that Polly was a part of to incorporate the dick. That box is hilarious to me. There's actually another CG that sort of incorporates Polly dick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her CG with Ashley, where you can, if you look at it, there is an erection under that skirt, and there is no variation for it where that is not the case.
Schrodinger's cock.
What a bad controversy to have.
Yeah, like of all things, it amounted to a box. The voice acting and art in this one are definitely a lot better compared to Honeypop 1.
Yeah, because I went back to play Honeypop 1 for reference, and like there were quite a few girls who had like weird quality audio mics.
Yeah.
This one definitely was recorded in like a studio. Everyone's audio sounds good. I'm not big on some characters' voices. I didn't like Brooke's voice acting all that much.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people share that sentiment. And the Nymphogen just sound too ridiculous. But
I think they're funny. I think they're just
hilarious.
Over the top enough. Like when one of them goes, "No mortal is worthy of pussy this good." That fucking killed me.
Any closing thoughts?
I'd say it was good. I was pretty much satisfied by it. Like I feel like it's a worthy sequel to Honeypop, but ironically, in some weird kind of fucked up way, like the main draw of Honeypop is blown up here too much. And I think that's kind of its biggest downfall, is just that, like, there's too many little things about it that are kind of annoying. Like, the gameplay is more technical, but it's also kind of less fun.
It's more technical, it's less fun. Like, the big writing is overblown here to the point where it loses a lot of its impact. It's the kind of sequel that I would expect from HuniePop, but not the kind of sequel I would expect from HuniePop after, like, several, like, big delays. I don't know where those delays came in.
Yeah, like, at least for me, I feel like my excitement for the game kind of reached this plateau. Like, I don't know if this happens to you, where, like, your hype for a game kind of reaches this point where it's just like, all right, well, I guess it's just not coming out, and you sort of, like, lose interest. I think my, like, interest in the game only started to really get re-sparked in the last, like, 2 weeks before it came out.
Bro, speaking of games that are never coming out, yo, you hear about this Ranch Quest Magnum coming out?
Oh, man.
I hope that lives up to 9 years of expectations for a game that I heard was, like, kind of all right from people who spoke Japanese. I hope the series continues to move on. I hope Q stays around. I want to see more of her in the future. What bugs me the most about the returning characters in HuniePop 2 is I would genuinely be happier if no one returned.
Yeah, like, yeah, now that you bring that up, I almost feel like it would have been better if it's just like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, fresh slate, all new girls, like, whatever. I guess the ones from Honeycam, like, don't really count, because they were in Honeycam, but...
Being in Honeycam doesn't count. Like, this is their debut. They are essentially new characters. I think that if Jessie and Lola were replaced with, like, 2 more Honeycam characters, no one would complain about the roster of this game. The fact that there is characters that are returning and they don't satisfy anyone, I think that's the problem that people have.
Yeah, now that you bring it up, that's a good point. Because if it's like, if there's no returning characters, then it's like, all right, no Audrey, no Belly, no whoever. Okay, because it's a fresh slate. But since it's not, then that gives people, like, a legitimate reason to be like, okay, but why her and not Audrey?
Yeah, it's such a weird phenomenon that because they set an expectation for something to happen, the fact that we got what we got and there were no secret characters just ultimately underwhelmed a lot of people. There was genuine speculation before HuniePop 2 released that Audrey was going to be one of the Nympho-Gen.
Oh my god.
Like, if Audrey ascended to God of Destruction level, Q can stay forever because Q is the mascot and she is the perfect, like, wingman character. I would be, if they made a HuniePop 3 and Q, new HuniePop 3, entirely new slate, no returning characters, but that includes no Q. That would also feel not like HuniePop. I give the game like a 7.
I'd say yeah. Like, I would also give it a 7. I think HuniePop 1 is definitely a much more memorable kind of experience. Like, this one definitely rides on its coattails pretty hard, but it was good. I'd say it pretty much lived up to what I expected it to be. Like, I had fun with it. I bought one for me, and I bought one copy for my girlfriend, so it was pretty good.
HuniePop 2 is a sequel to HuniePop 1.
It absolutely is.
That's the closing thought, the perfect one.
Yep.
Fire Ranch Quest.